Hello folks, today we're going to have a tutorial on how to operate a lathe machine. But before anything else, let me introduce to you the 5 major parts of a lathe machine. So first we have here is the headstock. It houses the pegs or the mechanism that holds the strings, and it provides the rotational power of the lathe operations. And we also have here the tailstock. It is usually used to apply support to the longitudinal rotary axis of a workpiece being machined. Next, we have here the carriage. It is responsible for guiding the tool bit as it cuts or otherwise manipulates the workpiece. We also have here the lathe bed. It is used to support the other parts of a lathe like the headstock and tailstock. And lastly, we have here the feed mechanism. It enables automatic feeding for the tool longitudinal and transversely as needed. By automatic feeding, the finish of the work will be better. The feeding of the tool will be at a uniform by continuous rate, and it takes less time to finish the operation while manual labor is avoided. So before we begin our operation, we're going to set our spindle speed into 1000 RPM, which is the recommended speed for a mild steel operation. So now we're going to begin our operation, where we need to have this form of workpiece with the same dimensions as this is shown in the image. So now we're going to set the dimensions of our workpiece, which is 100 mm in length and 30 mm in diameter. I'll just set the offset into the 85 mm. Here in the vernier caliper icon, we can see the dimensions of our workpiece. We can also set here our target size of the workpiece or dimension. Now we will have to choose our specific toolkit that we will use for our workpiece. For this project, I will use the number 47, which is the cutoff. It is very suitable for our turning face. And for the facing, we will use number 5, which is also suitable for our facing. So I will just adjust here so that you can clearly see my project, and it's so that it will be very visible. The workpiece will be visible for you to watch. And now we're just going to adjust our toolkit near our workpiece so that we can have an accurate product like what we have or what we need to follow that was shown in the image. So we will use this, and you can adjust it here. If you see red, we need to move a little bit so that we can set it very accurately. And after we adjust it and securely placed it in the edge of the workpiece, we will now set both of these into 0 mm. And here we will adjust our target dimension, which is 28 mm in diameter. And here I'll just set it into 40 because I will cut the 20 later. So before we cut it, we have to press the black button or the start button so that the headstock will rotate. I'm just checking if if it is all good. Since we've turned it on and adjusted our toolkit, we will then adjust this one in the right into 2 mm so that we can get a 28 mm diameter. We will then press this one with arrow up in the lower left and the one with arrow up in the lower right so that we can start our machine operate. As you can see, it's already cutting the part of the workpiece where we set into 2 mm to get 28 mm diameter. You just have to wait and get the work. Now that it's done, we need to stop the headstock and rotate the workpiece so that we can set everything in the workpiece into 28 mm in the diameter. Now we'll just have to wait for it to be finished, and then we can turn off the speed mechanism, the headstock. Then we can check our dimension if we get the correct diameter. As you can see, it's already in 28 mm. So we get the correct dimension for our diameter. Now we're going just to set our diameter again, but now into 25 mm. Now we're just going to adjust again our toolkit, which is the one in the right corner, so that we can get a 25 mm diameter. We need to set it into 5 so that we'll be able to get 25 mm. And now let's start the machine. Same process as we did a while ago. So the length here is not 60 but it's 40. 40 because we will cut the 20 later and get the same dimension as what was given. And now, since our turning operation is on process, we just need to keep an eye on the one in the left part, the dimension in the left part, because we can track there our dimension that we have cut. We need to stop at 60 to get the 40 mm. Since we already here the 60 mm, we have to stop the machine and check if we got it right. As you can see, we got it right. And now we're just going to set it back like what it was before, and then we're going to adjust the dimension again to our next target dimension, which is 20 mm in diameter, and the length is 60. Now we're just going to set this, the one in the right corner, into 7.5 mm. So we set it into 7.5 mm because if we go directly into 5 mm, we might have a bad bad workpiece, because it's not advisable to cut a higher diameter, higher dimension. So we'll just start off with 2.5 to get our target dimension. And as you can see here, we still need to cut a little more, and then we'll adjust 7.5 into 10 or 0 in order for us to get the value that we need, the workpiece that we need. So let's start the machine. And just wait for it to get done. And we're almost there. So a little bit more. And then here you go. We'll stop the machine and check the dimension. As you can see, we got the right dimension. Since it's a little rough, we just adjusted a little bit so that it will have a straight line. As you can see, it's all perfect. Now our next dimension for the length is 80 and for the diameter is 15 mm. They're both in mm. And now we've set it back to like what it was before. We'll just adjust the dimension in the right corner into again 2.5 so that we won't have a bad workpiece. Then start the machine and move the carriage. And we need to stop here. Just a little bit to get a 20 mm. Then stop the machine. Check if it's right. And then we have to add 2.5 more mm so that we can get 15 mm. And stop in the 5 mm. And then we can start the machine and our carriage. Oops, I'm sorry. Before we move the carriage, we need to press the thumbs up so that the carriage will move slowly and you'll have a great work and workpiece. As you can see, it's already in the 15 mm. And here we have to rotate our workpiece by clicking the one in the upper right, the third row. And we have to set our length into 80 mm to remove the 20 mm. And again, we're just going to adjust our toolkit in order for us to have we need to use this toolkit, the number 5 toolkit, where we can use it in turning and facing. So we need to adjust it on the edge of our workpiece so that we can get an accurate facing. we'll just try to use the toolkit number 3, which is used primarily for facing. Just adjust so that you can turn, and then adjust again so that you can have an accurate cutting. And after we adjust the toolkit in the workpiece, we will then set the dimensions into 0, the one in the left and in the right. And now, since we've set it properly, we can now set the dimension for our facing, the one in the left. We will have a 2.5 per cut so that it will have a smooth and accurate, and so that our workpiece will not look bad or rough. And after it's done, just again move another 2.5. You'll have a 5 mm, then go up. Now we've already cutted 5 mm of the workpiece. We need 15 more mm. And again, we'll add again 2.5 mm so that it will have a smooth surface. Okay, so we've cutted 7.5 mm. Let's add another 2.5, and now we'll start it going up, and then boom, we already cut it 10 mm in the length. Let's add another 2.5 for our facing. And here you go. And once again, another 2.5. We're almost there. We're already about to cut 15 mm. Now it's great. And let's add another 2.5, and we're almost there. And just leave it as 2.6, 17.6, because we can cut at specific 20 mm later. And almost there. We almost finished our workpiece. Just 2.4 more, and we're good to go. can see it's 20 mm, and another 20 mm, another 20 mm. And here is another 20 mm. I mean, we still need to cut 2.4 mm to get the last 20 mm. And now it's done. We've already achieved the the workpiece dimension that we needed to do, we needed to follow. So let's check the dimensions that we have. As you can see, we got the 20 mm here, and another 20 mm, and another 20 mm, and lastly another 20 mm. And let's check our diameter. 15 mm, 20 mm, and 25 mm, and the last is 28 mm. So we got all our dimension that we needed to follow. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, and see you in another video. Thank you.